One of the most popular slogans of the pro-abortion, pro-choice movement has been "My body, my choice." And in fact, this is a slogan that we have heard. I probably heard it first in the late 70s and certainly all the way through the 80s. So for decades, it's been the mantra of the Roe v. Wade team. And it was anchored in a notion of women's rights and the concept that women have full autonomy over their own bodies. Don't tell me what to do with my own body. Now, interestingly, this exact same slogan was adopted, some would say appropriated, by the movement against mandatory masks and mandatory vaccines. And so you may say that a slogan that was concocted and perfected politically on the left was then kind of nabbed by the right in the last couple of years, certainly in the COVID era since 2020. And the right has been using the exact same slogan, but for a different purpose. In this case, nothing to do with abortion, but essentially, don't make me put a cloth towel over my face. Don't force me to wear a mask. Don't force me to inject things into my body. My body, my choice. It should be completely up to me as to what I do with my body. Now, there's an article in NPR which talks about how this has really flustered the pro-abortion camp because it hurts them in two ways. First of all, they see their slogan has sort of been taken over by the other side. So this itself is discombobulating. After all, let's remember most of these advocates of abortion support vaccine mandates and support mask mandates. And so to see their slogan now used against them, it sort of exposes their hypocrisy. My body, my choice. Well, here you go. What about applying it to this area? Why would the slogan only apply to the one issue of abortion? Why doesn't it apply across the board? So the right has been, in a sense, very clever and has successfully deployed the left's mantra against the left. You have here a woman from Lisa Ikimoto from UC Davis, the Feminist Research Institute. They have such a thing, the Feminist Research Institute. She goes, "It strengthens the meaning of choice in the anti-vaccine space and detracts from the meaning of that word in the reproductive rights space." So, interestingly, there's now been some surveys of Democrats, and they're trying to, of course, get up their momentum in the aftermath of the Supreme Court's decision striking down Roe v. Wade. And so they tried to resurrect the old slogan, "My body, my choice," but they realize it no longer polls very well among Democrats and on the left. In fact, Democrats are like, I don't know, my body, my choice. Well, I don't really like that. So why? Because they've been hearing "my body, my choice" nonstop from the right for 2 years. And so they're kind of allergic to the phrase because they think of it in the context of mask mandates and vaccine mandates. And so Democrats now are sort of retreating from that word. And it's almost like the pro-choice types, the pro-abortion types are like, we need a new slogan because the old slogan has basically been hijacked. Quote, Celinda Lake, a Democratic strategist, "What's really unique about this is you don't usually see one side's base," this is the right, "adopting the message of the other side's base and succeeding." And Jody Hicks, who's head of Planned Parenthood in California, she goes, "This is very frustrating and very disappointing," because basically their slogan has been rendered meaningless. They can't do anything with it. Now, NPR goes a long way to try to make the point that the right is being very hypocritical, because while they say "my body, my choice" in the context of vaccines and mask mandates, They don't say my body, my choice in the connection of abortion. And so the idea here is that there's some sort of a hypocrisy, there's some kind of a contradiction. But think about it this way. When two sides of the political aisle believe the opposite, and one side is in a contradiction, obviously it means the other side is in a contradiction too. So the left is in an equal contradiction because they want my body, my choice when it comes to the fetus, but they don't want my body, my choice when it comes to mandates, when it comes to mask or vaccine mandates. So how do we think intelligently about this slogan? I would say this, that the concept of my body, my choice, although it's a kind of a nice sounding slogan, is never absolute, because we can all envision circumstances where somebody else, whether it's your family or whether it's society or whether it's your employer or whether it's the state, does get to tell you what to do with your body. Now, the question is not so much, hands off my body, but under what circumstances is that kind of invasion justified? So let's look at the two cases separately. Let's start, for example, with the abortion case. Well, the argument of the pro-life side is actually remarkably simple. Of course, it's your body. But the reason it's not your choice is that the fetus is not part of your body. It is in your body temporarily for a few months. It inhabits your body, but it is not your body. And so what you're talking about here is, in the name of a supposed sovereignty over your body, you're talking about crushing somebody else's body. And no one denies that when you are using your freedom to suppress the freedom, in fact, the very existence of others, that's not permitted. I think that the mask and vaccine arguments are more complex. In fact, the court recognizes, the Supreme Court has basically said, look, you can have a vaccine mandate, but it can't come from the Biden administration. They're the executive branch. If Congress makes a law that has a vaccine mandate, we'll have to look at that separately. Because after all, the job of the legislature is to make laws, and under certain circumstances, they can make laws telling you what to do with your body. And by the way, the same is even true about abortion. The court is taking the same position, except they're saying in this case, it's not the federal legislature, the Congress, it's the states. The states, in a sense, do have a right to tell you what to do with your body when there is another, you can say potential life, you can say existing life. Of course, it's an existing life. It's also a developing life. But the courts are deferring to the moral sense of local communities and states to adjudicate these matters and decide, yes, it is your body, but we're going to tell you under what circumstances you get to exercise this type of a choice.